Assalamu alaikum, myself Kalsbil Kaisar from Chemistry Department, and today the topic of my presentation is the brain-computer interface. So let's get started. Introduction and background. Overview of computer-brain interfaces. Computer-brain interfaces, also commonly called brain-computer interfaces, are the systems that enable direct communication between the brain and the external devices. They work by detecting neural activity either invasively by implanting electrodes in or out on the brain or non-invasively through sensors placed on the scalp or around the head and translating these signals into commands that can control computers, prosthetics, or other technologies. Conversely, some CBIs can also deliver electrical or magnetic stimulation to modulate brain activity. Originally developed in the 1970s and 1980s as experimental tools for neuroscience research and to assist people with severe paralysis, CBIs have rapidly evolved to become promising tools in clinical therapy, neurorehabilitation, and human-machine integration. This essay examines the recent technological advancements between 2023 and 2025, explores their clinical applications, discusses ethical and regulatory challenges, and looks ahead to future directions. Historical context and development. The concept of interfacing directly with the brain dates back to early neurophysiology experiments, where electrical activity from single neurons was recorded. The first practical BCIs emerged in the 1970s with efforts to decode brain signals using scalp electroencephalography to control simple devices. Significant milestones included the development of intracortical microelectrode array in the 1990s, which allow high resolution encoding from the neurons in the motor cortex to control robotic arms. Over the following decades, advances in material signal processing and computational power paved the path for more sophisticated devices. The period from 2023 to 2025 has been marked by a transition from prototype research toward clinically viable, sometimes fully implantable systems, as well as improvements in non-invasive sensing and AI-based decoding algorithms. Basic neuroscience and signal acquisition methods. Neural signals arise from chemical electrical activity in the brain's millions of neurons. This activity can be recorded at multiple spatial and temporal resolutions. Intracortical recordings capture from the action of potential from individuals or small groups of neurons via microelectrode arrays implanted directly into the brain tissue. This offers high spatial resolution and bandwidth which requires invasive surgery. Electrocorticography. It records local field potentials from the surface of the cortex using electrodes placing under the dura mater. It provides good signal quality with lower invasiveness than intracortical arrays. Endovascular methods such as slant-mounted electrodes involve minimally invasive development, deployment through blood vessels to record mesoscale cortical activity, reducing surgical risks. Electroencephalography measures scalp voltage fluctuations generated by synchronized cortical neuronal population. It is non-invasive but has lower spatial resolution and signal-to-noise ratio. Functional near-infrared spectroscopy and magnetoencephalography provide hemodynamic and magnetic field measures respectively, complementing EEG signals. Each modality involves trade-offs between invasiveness, signal quality, temporal resolution, and practicality. Classification of CBIs. CBIs are commonly classified based on their mode of signal acquisition and application. Type: intracortical. Description: microelectrode arrays implanted in brain tissue. Invasiveness: high invasive, and applications are high bandwidth prosthetic control, speech decoding. Electrocorticography. Description: electrodes on brain surface, invasively moderately, and applications of speech decoding and seizure. Endovascular electrodes deployed via blood vessels to cortical, invasive, minimally invasive, and monitoring motor control, epilepsy, and monitoring. Electroencephalography. Scalp electrodes recording cortical activity, non-invasive communication BCIs, motor imagery control. FNIRs and MEG, hemodynamic and magnetic sensing techniques, non-invasive cognitive assessment, neurofeedback. Core functional components of CBIs. CBIs typically comprise the following core components: signal acquisition. Sensors record brain activity signals, signal processing and decoding. Raw neural data are filtered, features extracted, and machine learning models translate brain signals into the actionable commands. Output device control. Commands are sent to control prosthetics, computers, wheelchairs are communication devices. Feedback and neuromodulation optional. Some systems provide sensory feedback or deliver brain stimulation for therapeutic modulation. Relevance and current focus 2023 to 2025. The timeline from 2023 to 2025 has seen major advances in multiple areas. Materials and implant design. Improving biocompatibility and longevity, wireless power and data transmission, eliminating tethered connections, artificial intelligence (AI) and deep learning, improving decoding accuracy and robustness, including transformer models. Clinical translation with several first-in-human trials demonstrating safety and functionality. Ethical frameworks addressing privacy, safety, and social impacts are being actively developed by the regulatory bodies. These developments have expanded CBI application from basic research to clinical defense and consumer domains. These are my references from the section 1 excerpts. Section 2 Technological Advancements in Computer Brain Interfaces 2023 to 2025. Advances in hardware, electrodes, and neural sensors. High channel coat intracortical arrays. Recent years have witnessed significant improvements in intracortical electrode technology, which involve implanting microelectrode arrays directly into the brain tissue to record the electrical activity of individual neurons. High channel count arrays, sometimes exceeding 1,000 electrodes, allowing for capturing vast amount of neural data with fine spatial resolution. This has enabled more precise decoding of complex motor intentions and cognitive states. New developments focus on flexible polymer-based thread electrodes, which enhance biocompatibility and reduce micromotion-induced tissue damage, a major cause of signal degrading in rigid implants. These polymer electrodes conform more naturally to brain tissue, minimizing inflammatory responses. Additionally, hermetic implant packaging using ceramic and diamond-like coatings increases the longevity of implanted devices, ensuring stable recordings over several years. MRI conditional design has become a critical consideration to allow patients with implants to undergo magnetic resonance imaging safely, which historically posed risks due to heating or displacement of metallic compounds. Minimal invasive endovascular approaches. These represent a novel approach in which electrode arrays are delivered through blood vessels and deployed in contact with the brain's cortical surface. These stendodes provide mesoscale neural signals similar to electrocardiography, but with drastically reduced surgical risk compared to open craniomeres. Between 2023 to 2025, multiple multi-site clinical trials demonstrated stable long-term recordings and functional control in motor and communication tasks using endovascular devices. The minimally invasive nature facilitates broader clinical adoption and patient acceptance. Non-invasive modalities (EEG, MEG, and FNIRs). Non-invasive CBIs continue to be widely used due to the safety and ease of use, especially in assistive communication and neuro rehabilitation. Electroencephalography (EEG) has seen improvements in electrode materials and cap ergonomics, including dry electrodes that reduce setup time and increase user comfort. Hybrid systems combining EEG with other sensors exploit complementary signals to improve decoding accuracy. Magnetoencephalography (MEG) benefit from portable optically pumped magnetometers, which remove the need for cryogenic cooling and bulky equipment, making MEG more accessible for real-world environments. Functional near-infrared spectroscopy. Arrays have increased in density and sensitivity, enabling finer spatial resolution of hemodynamic responses correlated with brain activity. Multimodal sensor fusion strategies that integrate EEG and FNIR's data have shown promise in overcoming individual modality limitations by enhancing signal-to-noise ratio and enabling more robust neural decoding in mobile and noisy settings. Wireless power and data telemetry. A major barrier for implantable CBIs has historically been the need for weird connections and restrict patient mobility and increase infection risk. Advances in wireless power transfer and data telemetry have led to fully implantable battery-free devices powered via inductive or ultrasonic methods. Custom application-specific integrated circuits developed for an on-implant signal amplification, digitalization, and compression reduce the data load required for wireless transmission, enabling low latency bi-directional communication links. These technologies not only improve patient quality of life but also facilitate continuous at-home use, a crucial factor for chronic therapies. Software innovations, neural signal decoding, and artificial intelligence. Foundation model-based neural decoders. This application of deep learning, especially transformer architectures originally developed for natural language processing, has revolutionized natural decoding. These models are capable of handling large-scale sequential neural data, enabling continuous mapping of neural activity to intended actions or text. Self-supervised pre-training on vast neural datasets enhances decoder generalization and reduces the need for extensive supervised training with labeled data. Online adaptation methods allow decoders to adjust to signal non-stationarity changes in neural signals over time, maintaining performance without frequent recalibration. Generative models for communication. High-rate intracortical NECOG recordings have facilitated the development of generative models that decode speech and handwriting at near conversation speeds for patients with amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, and locked-in syndrome. Integration with large language models provides error correction and context-aware prediction, enhancing the intelligibility and usability of prosthetic communication devices. Closed-loop neuromodulation and adaptive control. Closed-loop systems that combine with neural decoding with real-time brain stimulation are advancing, especially for seizure prevention, tremor suppression, and mood regulation. Reinforcement learning algorithms optimize stimulation parameters based on ongoing neural and behavioral feedback. Safety filters and fail-safe mechanisms ensure patient protection against adverse effects or unintended stimulation. Edge and cloud co-processing. Hybrid architectures involving on-implant feature extraction combined with cloud-based AI processing balance the demands of privacy, latency, and computational power. Techniques such as federated learning and secure enclave computing allow models to be trained on distributed clinical datasets without compromising patient data privacy. Differential privacy methods further protect sensitive neural data during model updates and sharing. Summary table, hardware and software advancements. Basically, category intracortical arrays, advancements, high channel flexible polymer threads, hermetic coatings, and impact improved biocompatibility, longevity, and MRR safety. Endovascular devices, minimally invasive stent rods with stable long-term signals, impact, reduced surgical risk, expanded patient eligibility. Non-invasive sensors, dry EEG electrodes, portable MEG, and dense FNIRs arrays, better comfort, mobility, and multimodal signal fusion. Wireless systems, inductive and ultrasonic power transfer, ASIC-based compression, fully implantable, tether-free, low latency communication. Neural decoders, transformer-based model, self-supervised pre-training, online adoption, higher decoding accuracy, robustness to signal changes. Generative communication, integration with large language models for speech, handwriting, near conversational prosthesis, improved error correction. Closed loop, reinforcement learning, safety filters, adaptive therapy for epilepsy. Neuromodulation, movement disorders and mood. Data privacy and security, federal learning, differential privacy, protects neural data, enables collaborative model training. References, these are my references from the section 2. Section 3, Clinical Applications and Case Studies of Computer-Brain Interfaces 2023-2025, Overview of Clinical Domains. Computer-brain interfaces have rapidly transitioned from experimental tools to practical clinical devices, especially for patients with severe neurological impairments. The most prominent clinical application involved restoring communication and motor functions in paralysis, augmenting neurorehabilitation, and treating neurological disorders through closed-loop neuromodulation. This section explores major application domains where CBIs have demonstrated measurable benefits, supported by case studies and clinical trials between 2023 and 2025. Restoring communication in locked-in syndrome (ALS). Background and challenges. Patients with locked-in syndrome (LIS) and advanced amyotrophic lateral sclerosis experience near total paralysis, rendering them unable to speak or move voluntarily while maintaining cognitive function. And communication restoration is critical to improving quality of life and autonomy. Traditional resistive technologies such as eye tracking or muscle-based switches are often insufficient in this population due to the ocular motor dysfunction or muscle fatigue. Intracortical interfaces for speech decoding. Intracortical CBIs leveraging high-channel microelectrode arrays have shown groundbreaking results by decoding intent speech directly from cortical activity. For example, 2024 clinical trial involves 5 ALPs patients used a 1024 channel polymer electrode array implanted in the speech motor cortex. Participants achieved average speed decoding rates of 70 words per minute, closing to natural conversation speeds. Neural signals were processed by transformer-based decoders combined with large language models (LLMs), improving recognition accuracy and enabling context-aware text prediction. ECOG-based communication systems. Electrocorticography grids placed subdurally have been used as a less invasive alternative with a high temporal resolution. In 2023, a multi-center study demonstrated that ECOG-based communication device enabled a lock-in patient to type at 30 words per minute with a custom virtual keyboard interface controlled by motor imagery. Non-invasive communication for severe paralysis. Hybrid EEG FNIR systems have also been found like key applications in patients unable to undergo surgery, combining motor imagery, EEG signals with hemodynamic FNIR responses. Researchers reported sustained 85% accuracy in yes-no binary communication over 6-month home use trials. Motor prosthetics and neurorehabilitation. Control of robotic limbs and exoskeletons. CBI's controlling robotic prosthetic limbs have become increasingly sophisticated and user-friendly. Recent developments include multi-degree of freedom control with haptic feedback. A 2025 trial involved stroke survivors who used their intracortical CBI to command a 7D of robotic exoskeleton for arm and hand movement. Participants showed significant improvement in functional independence scores after 12 weeks of therapy compared to controls. Functional electrical stimulation. Closed-loop CBIs that decode motor intent and triggered FES to actively paralyzed muscles provide an alternative rehabilitation approach. In 2024, a study demonstrated restoration of voluntary hand grasp in spinal cord injury patients using a wireless implantable neural interface controlling FES with sub-millisecond latency. Neuroplasticity and long-term recovery. Evidence suggests that BCI-assisted neurorehabilitation facilitates neuroplastic changes in motor cortex and spinal pathways, supporting functional recovery and beyond device use. Longitudinal fMRI and EEG studies confirmed increased connectivity in motor networks after months of BCI therapy. Closed-loop neuromodulation therapies. Epilepsy and seizure control. Closed-loop CBI is capable of detecting the pre-seizure and natural neural patients and delivering response neurostimulation have advanced considerably. The RNA system by Neuropace, a pioneering closed-loop device, reported over 70% reduction in seizure frequency in a 2023 real-world registry study. Novel AI algorithms optimize stimulation timing and amplitude dynamically, enhancing efficacy and minimizing side effects. Movement disorders, Parkinson's disease, and essential tremor. Adaptive deep brain stimulation systems that adjust stimulation parameters in real time based on neural feedback signals have demonstrated superior symptom control compared to conventional DBS. A 2025 multi-center trial involving 150 Parkinson's patients found that ADBS reduced motor fluctuations and dyskinesis by 50% with improved battery life, extending device longevity. Psychiatric and mood disorders. Emerging applications include closed-loop stimulation targeting circuits implicated on depression and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Early-phase trials have shown promising and mood stabilization and reduction of anxiety symptoms. Case studies highlighting clinical impact. Case study 1: speech restoration in ALS. A 45-year-old man with advanced ALS underwent implantation of a 1024 channel polymer intracortical area in the speech motor cortex. After decoder training, he communicated at 65 words per minute with 22% accuracy. This enabled participation in family discussions and improved quality of life markedly. Case study 2. Motor recovery post-stroke. A 60-year-old female stroke survivor with right side hemiparesis used an implantable BCI-controlled robotic exoskeleton during a 3-month rehabilitation program. Functional independence measures FIM scores improved by 30% and fMRI revealed enhanced activation in eye ipsilateral motor areas. Case study 3. Closed loop seizure suppression. A 32-year-old male with drug-resistant temporal lobe epilepsy received a responsive neurotransmulator implant over 18 months. Seizure frequency dropped by 75% with self-reported improvements in daily functioning and mood. This is the summary table of clinical applications of CBIs. The clinical domain are communication restoration, motor prosthetics, neuro rehabilitation, epilepsy management, and the movement disorders and psychiatric disorders. These are my references from section 3. Section 4, Ethical, Legal and Social Implications of Computer-Brain Interfaces 2023 to 2025. Introduction to ELSI in CBIs. The rapid development of computer-brain interfaces present profound ethical, legal and social challenges alongside their clinical technological breakthroughs. These concerns must be carefully navigated to ensure patient safety, protect individual rights, and promote equitable success while fostering innovation. CBIs uniquely intersect with core aspects of personhood, privacy, and autonomy, raising novel issues that extend beyond traditional medical device frameworks. This section elaborates on key ELSA domains, current regulatory landscapes, and emerging governance models shaping CBI adoption globally. Safety and risk-benefit trade-offs. Surgical and device-related risk. In various CBIs such as intracortical microelectrode implants carry risks including infection, hemorrhage, and chronic tissue response such as gliosis. Although advances in biocompatible materials and hermetic packaging have improved implant longevity, device failure modes remain a critical concern. Minimally invasive endovascular approaches mitigate some risks but pose unique challenges in vascular injury and long-term device stability. Non-invasive methods offer safer alternatives but typically sacrifice signal fidelity, affecting therapeutic efficacy. Cybersecurity and device integrity. CBIs with wireless telemetry expose patients to cybersecurity threats including unauthorized data access, device hijacking, and malicious simulation. Ensuring robust encryption, secure authentication protocols, and fail-safe designs is essential to prevent harm and preserve trust. Balancing risk with functional gains. Ethical deployment requires careful evaluation of risk-benefit ratio, especially in vulnerable populations. For example, in ALS patients with locked-in syndrome, high surgical risk may be justified by profound communication gains, while in less severe cases, non-invasive options may be preferred. Neural data rights and privacy. Ownership and control of neural data. Neural data represent uniquely sensitive biometric information reflecting internal cognitive states. Current regulations inadequately addresses ownership, consent, and secondary use of such data. Emerging proposals advocate treating neural data as a form of neural rights, ensuring individuals retain full control over data collection, processing, and sharing. Transparent consent frameworks and data governance models are critical. Privacy preserving analytics. Advances in AI facilitates power decoding of neural signals but also raise privacy risks through potential interface of unintended mental states or thoughts. Techniques such as federal learning, differential privacy, and encryption in use can mitigate exposure while enabling collaborative model training. Algorithmic bias and fairness. Variability across individuals and populations. Decoding algorithms trained on limited or non-diverse neural datasets may perform poorly or unfairly across demographic groups, differences in age, sex, ethnicity, or neurological conditions. This risks exacerbating health disparities. Equitable access and inclusivity. Access to CBIs is often limited by socio-economic factors, geographic location, and healthcare infrastructure disparities. Ethical deployment mandates equitable distribution to avoid a neural divide where only affluent or urban populations benefit, addressing performance drift and calibration burden. Continuous adoption is necessary as neural signals evolve over time or due to external factors. Algorithm must incorporate fairness, aware recalibration without imposing exclusive burdens on users or caregivers. Autonomy, agency, and identity. Cognitive and behavioral effects of stimulation. Neuromodulatory CBIs may inadvertently alter mood, cognition, or personality traits, raising questions about agency and authenticity of action. Safeguards such as user-controlled stimulation settings and comprehensive monitoring protocols are critical. Personhood and psychological continuity. Psychological philosophical debates center on how direct brain interfacing impacts notions of selfhood and personal identity. Users may face psychological challenges integrating external devices as a part of the cognitive apparatus. Over reliance and dependency risks. Prolonged reliance on CBIs for communication or motor function might reduce natural recovery or cognitive engagement. Ethical use correlates recommend balancing device use, rehabilitation efforts, and psychological support. Regulatory landscape and international norms, device approval pathways. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration has developed frameworks for classifying CBIs as medical devices under the Breakthrough Device Program, accelerating review while ensuring safety and efficacy. The European Union AI-enabled medical device guidance. The dynamic nature of AI algorithms necessitates novel regulatory approaches addressing algorithmic updates, continuous learning, and performance monitoring to maintain clinical safety over device lifecycles. Global ethical frameworks. The World Health Organization (WHO) has issued guidance emphasizing respect for neural rights, informed consent, transparency, and international collaboration to harmonize standards and prevent misuse. Summary of ethical and legal considerations for CBIs. The issues are surgical device risks, description, infection, implant failure, mitigation strategies, advanced materials monitoring, minimally invasive methods, and references are the cybersecurity and neural ownership are some of the issues, and their description are data breaches, device hijacking, consent control, secondary use, etc. Algorithmic bias, autonomy and identity, regulatory approval, international norms, summary. The ethical, legal, and social implications of CBIs are multi-faced and evolving alongside technological advancements. Addressing safety, privacy, and fairness and autonomy is imperative to ensure responsible innovation that benefits all stakeholders. Coordinated regulatory and international effort grounded in neural rights principles provide a foundation for sustainable, equitable CBI development. These are my references for the section 4. Section 5. Future directions and emerging trends in computer-brain interfaces. Introduction. As computer-brain interface technology rapidly evolves, emerging trends and future directions indicate transformative potential across medicine, neuroscience, communication, and beyond. This section explores anticipated technological innovations, integration with artificial intelligence, expanding therapeutic applications, and the societal implications shaping the trajectory of CBIs over the next decade and beyond. Advances in CBI hardware and signal acquisition, next generation electrode technologies. Efforts to develop electrodes that combine high resolution, long-term biocompatibility, and minimal invasiveness continue to intensify. Examples include flexible and biosensitive electrodes. These materials conform to brain tissue to reduce inflammation and naturally degrade after therapeutic use. Nano-engineered interfaces, carbon nanotubes and graphene-based electrodes offer exceptional electrical properties and mechanical strength, improving signal fidelity and longevity. Wireless and fully implantable systems, eliminating transcutaneous connectors reduces vacuum risk and improves patient comfort. Fully implantable wireless CBS powered via inductive coupling or energy harvesting. Integration of artificial intelligence, real-time adaptive decoding. Advanced machine learning algorithms enables CBS to dynamically adapt to neural signal availability and user intent, improving accuracy and usability over time. Techniques such as reinforcement learning personalize the interface in real time, brain state of prediction, and closed-loop system. Predictive models anticipate neurological state for the basis on that to trigger responsive neurostimulation, automatically enhancing treatment efficacy in disorders such as epilepsy and Parkinson's disease, expanding therapeutic applications. Neuropsychiatric disorders. CBIs are increasingly applied in treating depression, obsessive compulsory disorder, and addiction via the targeted neuromodulation. Adaptive deep brain stimulation in response to neural biomarkers is a key innovation. Sensory restoration. Restoration of the vision through cortical visual processes and auditory processes beyond cochlear implants are advancing. Recent trials demonstrate improved spatial and temporal resolution, restoring more natural sensory experiences. Brain-machine environmental interfaces. Emerging CBIs transcend simple brain-to-device communication, enabling interaction with complex environments such as smart homes, robotic exoskeletons, and virtual reality systems. This facilitates independence and quality of the life for disabled users. Ethical and societal democratization and accessibility. Scalable, affordable CBI is essential to prevent inequities. Open source hardware initiatives and modular design may lower barriers, neuro enhancement, and cognitive liberty. As CBIs enable cognitive enhancement beyond therapeutic uses, regulatory and societal frameworks must address autonomy, consent, and potential coercion in competitive environments. Key future trends and challenges in CBIs. Trends are flexible, bioreasonable electrodes, wireless implantable CBIs, AI-powered adaptive decoding, closed-loop neuromodulation, sensory prosthesis advances, brain-machine environmental coupling, ethical challenges in the enhancement. Projected growth of CBI applications by sector. Note summary. The future of CBIs is poised for transformative growth, fueled by innovations in material science, AI integration, and expanding clinical indications. Concurrent attention to ethical, legal, and social dimensions will be vital to guide responsible innovation, maximize benefits, and minimize risks as these technologies increasingly intersect with human cognition and society. These are my references from the section 5. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.